All right, let's get started. So hey everyone, thank you for coming to this talk. I hope you find it helpful and interesting. I am Paddy Estridge, I work for TouchLab, and I'm a UX engineer, so I try and bridge the gap between what the designer wants the app to look like and what we get from our wonderful engineers at TouchLab. 2 or 3 are here, so if I make any jokes about engineers, same with them. So, you want that view to do what? Really is a thought that I think many people who are trying to wrangle Android views into doing what they actually want them to do have felt many times before. And hopefully this can go a small step towards helping people who are trying to make their Android app look gorgeous. Of course, when material design is released, I'm sure everything will get much, much easier. This talk is using Android L. I know the description says using list views. I'm going to give an example of a recycler view, which works very similarly to a list view. So if you are still using list views, you should be able to apply this stuff to that also. So this is a hypothetical, this is an app that I'm building in my spare time. But hypothetically speaking, what I would typically get from an engineer to make it look cool is something a little bit like this. And this is what I actually want it to look like at the end. How it will look once I've shown you the code that I'm writing. So I'm going to start with just like a very small piece of the things that you need to set up to use material design. I don't know if when the SDK is actually released, all this stuff will get bundled up into the system, but right now, if you want to use a recycler view, you have to specifically compile it in Droidcon. Same applies for the palette stuff, which helps you to go through a bitmap and take out the primary colours in a photograph. And also the card view, which I'm not actually using, but same thing applies, like compiling them all individually from the Gradle file. I'm also using Jake Warden's butter knife in here, which there's only one line in it, but if anyone's doing view stuff, it's fantastic and really makes importing your views and mussing around them much, much quicker than how you would do it traditionally. So those are things you need to put into your Gradle file. And then to get your action bar into the colour that you saw it was there, rather than just like standard Android black, you would, in the action bar style, set your colour and the colour blue, which is that electric blue that I like very much there. So then, to get the action bar, to use the custom font type that you saw at the beginning, which is called Quigley. So this morning in the keynote, the guys from Tumblr were saying that they don't do custom action bar stuff anymore. They use what Android gives you. This is kind of a hybrid thing. So in my main activity in the onCreate view, I'm getting my instance of the backbar class, which looks like this. Passing in the activity itself and what I want the title to be, and then getting the action bar. Setting show the title enable defaults to get rid of the standard Android text that would be put into the app. And then show custom enable true so I can inflate my own view, which is imaginatively called the action bar. And then setting the text string to whatever it is that you want to pass in. I threw this in as an example. We actually typically would use a custom typeface class to set the typeface to whatever it is that you want to have in your application. But if you only want to just throw in and just do one line, then you can do typeface, whatever it is, create your typeface, and then set it to be the action bar typeface. But you just see on the XML, I'm using the typeface, the custom typeface view class. If you wanted to set it in the way, If you wanted to set it using this typeface quickly thing, then you just use a normal typeface in your XML. Okay, cool. So this is just the typeface. This is literally just a text view which takes the string and renders your title for the action bar. There's a little bit of padding here. There's not very much of much interest or anything different from what you would normally do in a text view. And what you have when you start your app now is the title and the face that your designer wanted you to use in the first place. And then moving on to the new pager, which at the top of this app, I should have shown an example at the beginning. At the top of this app is a view pager which you swipe through, and then you click on the plus add button, and it adds the view to a list view or the recycle list view, which is underneath. So what I have in the blank activity right now is just a group of objects which I need to render onto the view pager. So you can see it's made up of just some strings and a few bitmaps. So to start off with the XML, this is your activity XML. So in here you've got a view pager and the recycling view that's underneath it. We're starting off with coding the view pager. So in on the 8 of the activity, you can see here I've got the third line down, I've got buttonline.inject. That's the Gradle injection file for Butterknife, which allows you to just grab all the reviews in a much quicker way than you would normally do it. It's at the top pager, so the top pager class is setting the pager adapter. I'm creating a new saving pager adapter class and using the class-the fragment manager. And then on the savings view pager, or the savings view pager is the reference to the view pager in the view, and then setting the adapter to the view pager. And then further down, I've just put this in the same activity, but you can separate it into a different class if you want it. We've got the savings pager adapter, which is creating a bunch of fragments to use on the view pager. So you've got to extend the fragment state pager adapter, which is a mouthful. And then you have your constructor here. Because I'm using drawables in the object, I'm not passing in the list between the activity and the fragment. If your object was made up of strings that you could pass between the two, then that would be a better way of doing this. But I'm not doing it in a way because I have all my drawables on the object already. And then the public fragment get item position is like the key to what page on your view pager is being shown. So you're passing in a bundle of arguments, setting the argument position, and then returning a fragment savings type, which is your like magical fragment, which is going to be shown on the top view pager. And then the get count method is holding a static int because I know exactly how many objects I have when they've been created previously within a helper. But again, if you're passing in a list of string objects using from an API or wherever else you might be getting the information from, you would do whatever the length of the array is. And then this is the XML for your fragment. So it's just, in this case, it's just a relative layout with a couple of images within it. On the view, there is an elevation of 5 dp. That's one of the magical things that's coming with Android L. What it does is it gives you a Z index on the view. So not only does it give you a bit of drop shadow and make the view look much nicer very quickly. Because this is a relative layout, all of the views that you've got in the relative layout are stacked on top of each other. So if you set the elevation to be, say the first view, the one you want on the bottom has an elevation of 5 dp. On a relative layout, you'd have to put the next views as like 6 or 7 so that they come on top of each other. Otherwise, in the same way as relative views put the bottom element on top, they'll just get hidden. So make sure that You remember to do that because it took me a while to figure out that all of my stuff was being hidden by the one element that I had elevated. And then on the, so this is our savings type fragment, which is actually the view pager itself. So that's in placing the view that we just saw, and then I'm getting, you can see I have a list of savings types in here, and I'm creating them from a savings type helper. That's the part that you wouldn't do if you have an object of strings, because you pass it through from the activity. But in my case, because I'm not doing it completely correctly, this is the way I'm getting my objects. And then, so I'm getting the argument number out, and then just setting up the view as you would normally. So setting the title, setting the icons, and that's it. That's your view pager. So this is what it looks like at this point. So now I'm halfway there. We've got half of the stuff that we want in the app. And lots of pretty icons. So then the recycler view, which is the second part of this. Again, like very, very little code to throw it in, same as the list view. So this is in the main activity. You add in the reference to the recycler view. You pass in, at the moment, an empty array of the objects that you're going to have at some point. And then you create a new list adapter, another adapter for this one. In the recycler view, I'm passing in the context, the list, and also the view that the recycler is going to inflate. On a list view, you wouldn't necessarily pass the layout in then. You usually place it within the on-create view, on the, I can't remember exactly what the method's called, but we'll see it in a second. So that's like one of the major differences between a list view and a recycler view. Again, in the same way, setting the recycler view adapter. And then there's a couple of extra things that you don't have on a list view, which in other ways works in pretty much the same way. You set a layout manager. The linear layout manager is the default. You could set your own custom layout manager if you wanted to create one. And then the item animator, again, the default item animator I've used, which gives you like a really cool transition between adding and taking away items from the list. Again, you can set a custom one if you wanted to muck around with that and make it truly magical. And then the recycling view has fixed sized, set that to true so that the recycling view knows it's not going to be doing much of this when it's recycling views around. So then we'll go to the XML for the recycler view. Again, this is just a relative layout, pretty standard layout. It's got a couple of image views on it. Has the same elevation as the previous layout, but otherwise it's pretty much of muchness. And then you set up your recycler view adapter. There's a couple of things with the recycler view adapter that you have to do that you wouldn't do on a list view. So you have to create a view holder for it. And then in this case, you have to extend the recycler view adapter and then pass in the view holder for it. On a list view, you would just extend base adapter, and then we're working pretty much the same way. And then you can see we've got the constructor in here, so we're setting what we've passed in before, the context, the list of savings, and the layout that we're going to inflate. And then you have the onCreateViewHolder class to inflate the item layout that you passed in previously. If you didn't want to pass in the item layout, you could just reference the layout from here. And then you're creating the view holder. That's just getting your references to the views that you've already set up to help you to help recycler view to use those render your view. And then you do all the magic stuff to render all of the view stuff on bind view holder. Okay, we're getting setting the text, setting the drawables, doing a little bit of animation, which I'll show you in a second, when each of those is created. And then on the delete, there's a delete icon calling the remove item, which is a method that the recycler view adapter gives you automatically. And then we can change the text on it. So we've got, this is the animation. So when the view is first entered into, when the view is first added to the recycler view, it's going to like come from above and like bounce slightly. So using translate animations in Android, you can do some pretty cool stuff. This is like a pretty basic example, but you've got a new translate animation, and the first parameter, I think it's the first parameter is the x-axis, where it starts, and the second parameter is where it's going to finish, and then the third and fourth are for the y-axis, and again, it's where it's going to start and where it's going to finish. So this is going to be -1000 when it first starts, and it's going to come in from above. Setting a duration, 101,000 milliseconds, and then the interpolator is going to give you like a small bounce effect. And then the repeat count counts 0, otherwise it will never end and it will bounce forever and ever and ever. It's not what you want. And then, so just go back to show you how to set that on view. I always regret doing animation for 1 second when you go back too far. Yeah, on the view holder next start animation, that's where you can set the animation on the view that you actually want to animate. And then the next one, the rolling left, is there's going to be the next icon, and that's going to come off of the first icon and kind of roll across the screen. So this one's using an animation set, which is a bunch of translate animations. You have to be conscious of what the view is going to do in what order. I had these two animations switched, so it was going across the screen relative to itself, which was moving. So because itself was moving, it's doing this, like across the screen. And it took me a really long time again to figure out that I needed to switch those two over, so it knew it was rotating relative to itself before it was going across the screen. So this is a translate animation and a rotate animation together in an animation set, which is going to force the effect to go across. And then it's just like a couple more things you need to do. These are three more methods in the same recycle view adapter. Get item count, just returning and save the list size. And then on the recycler view, you have an adding and a removing method. These are really cool. They let you really simply and quite elegantly remove and add stuff from the list, and it automatically animates for you using the default animator that we saw earlier. So you've just got to get the position and notify that an item has been removed or inserted. And then I always add a dataset changed list method to any list that we're doing, so you can call notify dataset changed from anywhere that you're referencing this list, and it will redraw everything for you. So then, just the last thing we've got to do is update the fragment so that it will tell the recycler list that the data or the objects inside have changed. So, and set this add icon, set clip listener, and then create a new savings record, which is the object that the list is taking, that the recycler view is taking, sorry, and then just set the title, create the object, and pass it into the reassigned review. And then you end up with something that looks like this. It's going to go on for a while because there's a lot of different objects. Cool, so that's all of my recycle view and view page fragments code. Does anyone have any questions or? No? Okay, you can find this code if you want to do anything with this kind of animations or list view stuff on github.com Paddy Badger, and Paddy Badger is my Twitter if anyone wants to tweet me. Cool.
When you design the UI prototype code or use a tool, it's not or just visualize it first?
The question was, do you visualize, do I prototype visually? And the answer is not much. I usually use Photoshop or Sketch, which I started recently using, which is really, really cool. You can. There are a bunch of tools which will let you prototype the kind of transitions between stuff, but there isn't anything I know of that will let you prototype animations very well. I'm sure there are ones, but I don't use any. I kind of like imagine it in my head and then like try and get the code to make the object do what I want it to do.